Have you ever thought, there's got to be a better and simpler way to learn organizational strategies? 5 Minutes Learning has a global and diverse collection of case studies to help management students. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to stay updated with our upcoming and interesting case studies. First, let me begin this video with a glimpse of LinkedIn in the year 2015. LinkedIn was the world's largest professional network. It was experiencing explosive growth, and so it needed to hire the very best people quickly in order to support and fuel that growth. Now, in this video, I would take you through LinkedIn's hiring approach, and details of how the company used its own online recruiting products, such as LinkedIn Talent Solutions, to attract and retain talent. At the same time, I would also like to explain in this video how LinkedIn was creating new recruiting models that put it at the forefront of modern recruiting. LinkedIn has done well so far in bringing in top talent into the organization. Nevertheless, as LinkedIn rapidly scaled, the challenge was to make sure that the company could compete with other tech firms in order to attract enough highly skilled engineers. Moreover, I will also explain specific techniques that LinkedIn's recruiting team used to attract talented candidates for positions in engineering, sales, and other departments. Those techniques include 1. Replacing cold calling potential candidates with finding warm connections to them through their LinkedIn networks. 2. Using a data-driven approach to identify the best candidates to pursue. And 3. Developing personalized online relationships with top candidates. More importantly, LinkedIn made internal hiring a priority. For external hires, the company focused heavily on recruiting passive candidates, people who were already gainfully employed and not necessarily looking for a new job. Now let's move on to the first part of this video, which is about LinkedIn's strategy. LinkedIn's business strategy had 5 major parts. LinkedIn's first strategic priority was to foster viral member growth, in which it continues to pursue initiatives that promote the viral growth of LinkedIn's member base, specifically members inviting others and sharing content. Second priority was to serve as the professional profile on record. In this, they seek to create the primary professional profile for every professional worldwide. Third was to become the definitive professional publishing platform. They achieve this by enabling members to publish, discover, and consume relevant professional content at a global scale. Fourth was to expand international presence. LinkedIn continues to grow the international base by expanding sales, technical, and support operations in additional locations, and by further developing the LinkedIn brand across various international geographies. Finally, they focus more on increasing monetization, while creating value for LinkedIn members. They make sure that customer-facing solutions add meaningful value for members. For example, by enabling members to represent their professional identities and build their personal brands, Talent Solutions customers can better identify members as passive hiring candidates. LinkedIn's hiring approach always gives priority to look at internal candidates first, when filling a position. The company considered LinkedIn employees who applied for open positions, but also recruited employees who were not necessarily looking for a new job. There was a lot of movement within LinkedIn, and it was not uncommon for an open position to be filled by an employee from a completely different part of the company. Even though, LinkedIn sought to balance both building strategy, which is hiring internally, and buying strategy, which is hiring its talent externally. The company hired externally for all types of roles. One major area of focus for external hiring was people who had a proven track record of helping the organization's growth. Likewise, for hiring engineers externally, the main focus was on professionals who were early in their careers, bringing them in at entry level, teaching them how to code the LinkedIn way, and how to be productive, then grooming them internally. The same was true for sales, where much of the focus was on hiring young professionals and teaching them how to navigate LinkedIn and sell its products. In 2014, more than 50% of LinkedIn's workforce consisted of millennials. In this part of the video, let's see the means by which LinkedIn sources its best external talents. LinkedIn found external candidates in three main ways. The first and foremost channel is their own online recruiting product, which is the LinkedIn Talent Solutions. Through this, they recruit roughly around 55% of hires. Second channel is through the employee referrals, which constitutes 30% of their hires. And finally, they use university recruiting, which contributes 15% of hires. First, let's see how they hired using LinkedIn Talent Solutions. LinkedIn used its own LinkedIn Talent Solutions for over half of its recruiting and hiring. Of those, roughly 70% were passive, and the rest came from applications on LinkedIn's job slots. Candidates applying directly for a job through LinkedIn job slots had the most success of getting hired, if they used LinkedIn to find a warm path to the company using someone they knew. Every year, LinkedIn hires hundreds of people who applied for a job. However, LinkedIn found the process of hiring through applications to be much less efficient than through its other methods. This was because of the time and manpower it took, and also because the percentage of highly qualified candidates coming out of the general application pool tended to be lower. Next is the hiring process through referrals. LinkedIn actively encouraged its employees to refer people who would be assets to the company and whose performance and work efforts they knew and trusted. Like many other companies, LinkedIn gave financial rewards to employees if the company hired their referrals. LinkedIn also found that a powerful incentive for employees to refer to good people was the recognition they received for helping the company. Finally, now let's see the process of university recruiting. LinkedIn recruited heavily from top schools and also looked for nuggets of hidden talent by looking at LinkedIn profiles of students at other schools with relevant expertise and fit. When looking at profiles for engineers, for example, recruiters might look to see if they had built any applications, and what the quality of those applications was like. Finally, let me explain the hiring process of LinkedIn. Once LinkedIn's recruiting team identified appropriate candidates, they met with business units' hiring managers to calibrate profiles and come up with a list of people to whom they wanted to reach out. From there, LinkedIn's average time to hire was 55 days. The recruiter first arranged a warm introduction to a candidate, if possible, rather than cold calling him or her. When LinkedIn used a warm introduction, it had a 63% higher hiring success rate. LinkedIn found that the best way to get a warm introduction was to look at a candidate's LinkedIn network and see if there was a first or second degree connection with someone who worked at LinkedIn. That employee would then essentially become the initial recruiter. Then, if a targeted candidate expressed interest, the recruiting team vetted him or her and would check references. The recruiter then spent half an hour with the candidate to make sure they understood LinkedIn's business model and the mission of the company. If a candidate looks promising, the recruiter makes a pitch to them to work at LinkedIn emphasizing the company's employee value proposition. The recruiter then brings the hiring manager into the process. The interview sequence varied by department, but a typical hiring process involved functional screening, most likely over the phone. An area where LinkedIn was trying to improve was by increasing its efficiency at the early stages of the process, such as the phone screen. Then there was an initial meeting with a hiring manager, often a more casual meeting, sometimes in the form of a stroll around the Mountain View campus. This was followed by a day, or day and a half, of interviews with members of the team. Engineering interviews were often done in teams of 2 and around 10 interviewers in total. Interviews for sales positions involved a pitch to the team. Other functions had 6 to 7 individual interviews by team members. By the time candidates got to the team interviews, they had been sufficiently vetted for skill, so the interviews focused on fit with the LinkedIn culture and the team. Thank you so much for listening to this video. Do not forget to subscribe this YouTube channel for receiving updates about my upcoming case study videos.